Your oxygen levels. What kind of feedback? Negative.
Oh, I did it.
Because negative feedback, I'm getting out of whack. Stop it and get back to homeostasis. Remember, positive feedback keeps you out of homeostasis. What are the only three that are positive feedback and keep you out of homeostasis?
Childbirth.
Childbirth,
Fever.
running a fever, and clotting your blood. So you don't bleed to death. Got it? But we don't do that forever, just until the job gets done. Got it? G, I think we know cellular respiration now. Okay? What kind of epitheliums are required for certain things? If I want filtration, if I want things to flow through very quickly, what do I want? 10 layers or 1? And do I want a square cell or a flat one?
Flat.
Are you with me? Okay. And what are these to help us absorb?
Cilia.
Wrong.
Microvilli.
Microvilli. What does cilia do?
Move.
Move thing. Ain't no absorption going on, it's moving. Okay? Yes or no?
Yes.
So you do need to know the kinds of epithelial tissues and what their purposes are. Got it? So be sure you look over that very briefly. Alrighty? Able to identify the layers of the epidermis. Here, what do we have extra? Lucidum. Here, what are we missing? Lucidum. Forearm. See the word? Don't just jump on. Read the whole question. Does that make sense? That's the downfall of most of our 210 students. They see one word, hook into it, grab the wrong answer, and then when you want to say, well, why did I miss that one? Oh, look here, this word. Uh-oh. Alrighty? The sequence of a muscle contraction. I think we've done that to death. But that was part of it. Remember that what we did, right? Okay. Identify muscle pairs that are antagonists. We talked about that today even, didn't we? Got it? Synergists work together. Antagonists work against each other. Fixators hold your shoulder blades in place. That's your two rhomboideus muscles. All right, identify different types of neurons by their function. We got that under control. What parts control what side of your head? We got that. Identify the effects, sympathetic and parasympathetic. We got that. Structures. Do you know all the parts when light hits your cornea? What does it go through to get to your retina? Think about it. Cornea, aqueous humor, go through the pupil, the lens, vitreous humor, retina. Okay? All right. Be able to identify characteristics of a cell membrane. Right? Bilipid layer, proteins in it, proteins for 5 or 6 different functions, like gluing cells together, holding cells together, letting things through, receptors for receiving. It's all stuff we've done 1,000,000 times. Okay? Accessory structures of the digestive epithelium and their functions, such as what's the function of villi and microvilli? Increase the surface area so that we can absorb more. Right? Yeah, can you just slide that up? Alright. Okay. The organ system and its function. What's the purpose of the respiratory system? To breathe what?
Oxygen.
Thank you. Get oxygen into your body and CO2 out of your body. Got it? What's the function of your urinary system?
To get your urine.
To get rid of urea, nitrogenous waste. Got it? The digestive system.
Break down food.
To not just break it down, that's what your mouth does,
Absorb it.
but to absorb the nutrients, put it into your blood. Yeah? What's your circulatory system's job?
Move it around.
Transport wastes and nutrients. Transport them in your body. Does that make sense? So just look over it. Chapter 1, very simple. Very simple stuff. All right. We got homeostasis. What's the space that the heart's in? The chest. Sorry, that ain't scientific. Yeah, what part of your thoracic cavity? The pericardial sac? Ever heard of that? Peri, around, cardio, heart? No, never heard of that. Okay. Go through and look at just the highlights of these chapters, folks. And as you go through your highlights of your chapters, look and see where these are coming from. Because that's it. I'm not going to ask you 47 things. If it says here, where's the heart, I'm not going to ask you where are the lungs. If this says, where's the heart, I'm not going to ask you, where is your stomach? Are you with me? It specifically says, know where your heart is located. I'm not trying to make it hard. I know it's 100 questions. Okay? Okay. The monomers, the building blocks of the molecules, that's in the chemistry chapter. Okay? Right? The smallest part of a sugar is glucose, right? The smallest part of a protein is an amino acid, right? Things like that. Okay? All right. Kinetic and potential energy was also in chapter 1. It's very simple. What kind of energy does this thing have?
Potential.
Potential, because it's above the ground. That's kinetic, because it's moving. That's all. That's how you convert into each other. All righty. What's a cation? Positive charge. What's the number one cation in your blood?
Sodium.
What's the number one cation in your cells?
Potassium.
No. Yeah, just like we draw it on the board every day. Okay? So be careful. Oh, if sodium is the number one positive cation, what's the number one negative cation in your blood? How do I get sodium into my blood? What am I eating to get this in my blood?
Salt.
Salt. So what's the number one negative part of salt? Yes. Sodium chloride. Got it? Yes or no? Yeah. All right. What is this? Creating what? Bones. Don't make it hard. Okay. The bicarbonate buffer system, that's in the chemistry chapter, is to make sure we don't get too acidic or too basic. We got this. Able to identify the chemical formula. Okay. What makes something organic and what makes something inorganic? Organic contains a C, a carbon. What's inorganic? No carbon. Is there any carbon in salt?
No.
Inorganic. Hydrochloric acid, HCl. Any carbon? Inorganic. See how that works? Okay. The stages of mitosis, please. Right? Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Yes, yes, yes. Please. Okay. Red slide. Okay. Identify, name the process that synthesizes. What's the magic name for put two things together? What kind of synthesis? Dehydration synthesis. Remember, take out the water. And what do I do to break something up?
Hydrolysis.
Hydrolysis. I add water to lyse. Got it? Basic concepts. Okay? Now, do you remember we drew 3 beakers and we had little dots either in the beaker or in the cell? Alrighty? What is that? It's the movement of water. We call that osmosis. How does water move? from the cell to the solution or from the solution to the cell? How do we know what direction the water moves?
Where the solvent.
Write this down. Water follows salt. Wherever there's more dots, that's where the water is going. Either into the cell, if it has more dots, or out of the cell, if it has more dots. And remember, the word tonicity, the word hypertonic, isotonic, hypertonic, doesn't ever deal with the cell. It deals with what's around the cell. So for human beings, it's what your blood is. And then, will the water from your blood move into your cells, or will the water from your cells move into the blood? Are you with me? Okay. The four major types of tissues: epithelial, connective, neural, and muscular, right? I think you know their function. A hinge joint, a multi-axial joint. What's this joint?
Saddle joint.
Saddle joint, yeah. Okay. Connective tissue, like collagen for strength, elastin for elasticity, the reticular fibers. Those are the ones found in your spleen, okay? Where all the white blood cells like to hang out. Okay? See, stretch, length, okay. Got it? Don't make it difficult. Can you slide that for me? It's general. This is a very general exam. Okay, what's keratin?
It's what makes your skin,
Makes your
turn
skin
horny.
tough. Because that's what it means, tough. It means horny. So, where do I have keratin? Here. Where do I not have keratin? Here. That's why the back of your throat gets dry. If you're breathing through your mouth all night long with a cold, yes or no? Got it? Because keratin is in places where you don't want it to dry out. Okay? Okay. Endocrine versus exocrine. What are these organs? What do they make? Hormones that stay in your body. What do these make?
Sweat.
Sweat that comes out of your body. Because endo means in and exo means out. Exit. That's not for coming in, that's for going out. Yes or no? Okay. Red and yellow bone marrow. Making red blood cells, storing fat. You better know where they are, where they're located. Okay? How do you know something is a cation? It has a plus sign. How do you know it's an anion? It has a minus sign. How do you know it's an organic molecule? Because it's made of ions. Got it? Something from column 1 or 2 and something from column 7. Alrighty? Identify the electron. Okay, you better know that when we went over that. Stages of healing. Remember? Look that up. It's easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 steps. Last one being remodeling. Remember? Okay. Polar and non-polar molecules. Everything in the world is polar as far as your body is concerned. What are the 3 non-polars that can go right through your membrane? Because your membrane is non-polar. What are the 3? Lipids. Any kind of a fat. What else? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Can't oxygen go straight into your cells? CO2 straight out of your cells? I don't need a door for that. Anything that's polar needs a door. That's glucose, amino acids, proteins. Got it? Anything with a charge needs to go through a door. All right? And in many cases, even water, through a door called an aquaporin. Okay? All right. That's polar, non-polar. Who's got the myelin sheaths? Got it? Who makes myelin in my brain? Oligodendrocytes. Who makes it in my arms and legs? Schwann cells. I can cover 100 axons with one oligodendrocyte. I need 100 Schwann cells that cover one axon in my arms and legs. Okay. Acne. What's the problem? Sebaceous gland gets clogged, and who is eating the sebum? Bacteria. That's the inflammation. Okay? We talked about positive, the only 3 positive feedbacks, right? What's happening to pH levels? Okay, if your patient is in alkalosis, what are they? Acid or basic? Basic. So what's their pH? Higher than 7.45. If your patient is in acidosis, what's their pH? Lower than 7.35, including 7. Isn't 7.0 less than 7.35? Yeah. 7 is neutral in a glass of water, not in a person. Okay? Go ahead and slide that up. All right. Identify which substances give bones their structure. Okay, we have collagen fibers, and then we have the hardening agent called calcium phosphate, also known as hydroxyapatite. Remember, that's the hardening agent. What's calcium's job in muscle contraction, right? Pops the top of the tropomyosin, so it relieves, and now my myosins grab the actins, pull them together. Okay, identify which muscles, well, muscles don't innervate, but which nerve muscles innervate the thigh. Well, what do we have here? Right? You got your femur, right? Femoris and what? Yeah, so your femoral nerves are going to be innervating here. Okay? Don't make it any harder than that. All right. Which nutrients do I need for bone formation? There's a list of them. Okay? I need calcium. I need vitamin D to be able to absorb the calcium. Yeah? Okay. Need some protein to make the collagen fiber. Identify the bones. They're called long bones. What's bursitis? Inflammation of a bag.
Bursa.
Got it? Which is underneath here to make sure your tendons don't get rubbing against bones. Be able to identify molecules in an oxidation reduction. Okay? Remember, cellular respiration is the #1 oxidation reduction formula. Who gets oxidized? The glucose or the oxygen? Glucose, because glucose plus the oxygen, so the glucose got oxidized by the oxygen, which means the oxygen gets reduced. That's it. That's all there is to it. Oxygen can't be oxidized. It is the oxidizer. Okay, that's all. Can you change DNA to RNA? I sure hope so. Remember, DNA is T to A, C to G. What's RNA? A goes with U. There are no T's. But C and G still go together. Okay. What's anatomical position? Palms forward, face forward, feet forward. Yeah? Why is this not anatomical? Because then I can't see my 2 bones here. Why is this not anatomical? Because now the bones are crossing. We want them like this. Which bones?
Radius and ulnar.
Thank you. Radius and ulnar. G, what's a chromosome? Some twisted up DNA which has genes in it for telling you characteristics. Be able to identify what makes a joint stable. The #1 thing is muscle tone, right? What are the parts of the neuromuscular junction? A neuron and a muscle. Got it? With a synaptic cleft in between. That's your parts. Got it? What we call the presynaptic and the postsynaptic membrane. Yeah? What must always be on the postsynaptic membrane? Receptors for the neurotransmitter. Yes, sir. Okay. We just drew this on the board. Which step represents depolarization, repolarization, hyperpolarization? Okay? Okay, muscle fibers. Remember? Do we want fast glycolytic, fast oxidative, or slow oxidative? We want slow oxidative. We want to slowly release the 36 ATPs for a marathon runner. Are those going to be red, pink, or white meat? Red. The redder, the more mitochondria. All right. What's an osteon? Yeah. Okay. No, osteon is a tower of bone. Got it? What are the cells? Osteocytes. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. Isotonic, isometric. Remember? Which one means I keep the muscle in the same position? No, isometric, same length. Got it? So that's like holding something out. Got it? As opposed to isotonic, it's moving the same weight up and down. Got it? Same weight. This is same length. Okay. All right. Diagram of the synapse. We got that. Nicotinic receptors for acetylcholine, that's going to be stimulatory. Like the drawing we drew on the board. Every time we draw one on the board. The functions of your skin. It's right there in the chapter on skin. Okay? Keeps the water inside. Keeps bad guys from coming in. 10-4? All right. Function of the subcutaneous, the hypodermis, where the fat is, right? Well, that's going to keep you warm. Got it? It's going to give you a little more give. All righty? Able to identify axodendritic. What kind of synapse is that? Between somebody's bouton, axon, and what?
Dendrites.
The dendrites of the next nerve. Alrighty? Okay, the role of oxygen. Didn't I just go over that with you guys? Okay. Okay, PNS. Can we do direct nerve generation? Only if the soma is intact. Be able to identify which cerebral hemisphere controls what side. We did that today. Be able to identify the difference between the plegias. Be able to understand parts of a spinal reflex. See, this is kind of like reviewing what we're just going to take a test on. Alrighty? The meningeal spaces, right? Gyri and sulci. Hey, we did that today. We're almost done. Keep going, sir. Alrighty. What are the neurotransmitters found? I just did this in the somatic, the sympathetic, and the parasympathetic neurons, right? Who's got the long, who's got the short, who's got one, who's got two? Okay. Identify the 4 nerve plexes of your body. Well, what do I call this group of nerves here? Cervical plexus. What about these coming here? Brachial plexus. How about these here? Lumbar plexus. What about these here? Sacral plexus. Does that make sense? Okay. Rods see black and white, able to identify the difference in motor and the one in the cerebellum. Remember? So, what are the 2 words for this guy? When I describe the little man in your head, what are the 2 words?
Contralateral.
Upside down and contralateral. What about the little man in your cerebellum? Right side up and ipsilateral. His left is your left. His right is your right. Okay. Okay, the autonomic nervous system is sympathetic and parasympathetic. Because you don't run it, it runs you. Autonomic. What brain structures? We just did this one. Who's in charge of temperature and thirst? And hypothalamus, folks. Yes, and your hypothalamus runs your pituitary gland, which runs all your hormones. The hypothalamus, very busy character. What kind of receptors? Did we do this today? Mechanoreceptors, nociceptors. Identify various planes. What's this? Sagittal.
Transverse.
Coronal. Hopefully. Is that going to be like the end of the world? No. Okay, identify cell. Okay, parts of the cell. What's a glycocalyx? This is the phospholipid, not phospho. This is the glycoprotein on the surface of your cell. It looks like a little antenna that identifies your cells as belonging to you, and my cells belong to me. Got it? My white blood cells recognize my glycocalyx and leave me alone. But if I were to give you my kidney, you wouldn't want it. It's probably on its way on and way out. Your body would not recognize my glycocalyx and want to attack it. Got it? Alrighty. Receptors again. Got that, let's see. Okay. What else? Phospholipid bilayer. What's the purpose of that? Water and water, but water can't go through because this is non-polar. What can go through? Only non-polars. Okay. Active transport. We know about active transport. That's the only one you need to know. ATP, sodium potassium pump. When we get to the stomach, there's also an acid pump. Okay? And if you see a commercial on TV for Prilosec, it says Prilosec turns off the acid pumps of your stomach. When they say pump, who's running the pump? ATP. Is that called a pump? Is that called? No, because it's not run by ATP. It's passive. I'm trying to finish it up here so we don't make you guys too late. Brains. Okay, we talked about tonicity. Right? Isotonic, hypotonic is how much solute is in the solution outside of the cell. Which cranial nerves do special senses like hearing and balance? And I hope you know that one. Okay, next. Here we go. Okay. Which special sense uses most of your nerves? Seeing. You have more sensory nerves in your eyes than all of your body combined, and 4 of your cranial nerves deal with your eyes. So are your eyes kind of important as human beings? Yeah, so let's use them. All right, go ahead. Oh, that's it. What happens with sympathomimetic or sympatholytic drugs, right? It acts like or acts the opposite of rest and fight or flight. Which cranial nerves carry taste? Facial and glossopharyngeal. Remember that was on that little picture with the little dog going, that tastes good. Remember that picture last Monday? Okay? Be able to identify what are the pre-central and the post-central gyri. We talked about that today. Okay, if I don't see a bunch of 99s on this test, Mr. Weber's going to have a heart attack just for you. All right? I'm going to flip out. I think I covered everything you need to know.